Hello, music friends. I'm Sally Utley from Sally's Sea of Songs. You can find me on Teachers Pay Teachers and Facebook by searching Sally's Sea of Songs. You can find me on Pinterest and Instagram by searching Sally's Songs. I will be sharing these links along with session notes at the end of my presentation in the comments, and my store will be on sale for the duration of the conference. Today's topic is mindfulness and social emotional learning in the music classroom. The essential questions for today are: what is mindfulness? What is social emotional learning? And most importantly, how can I incorporate these things into my music classroom when I'm already pressed for time? Let me share my screen for a few definitions. Social and emotional learning, or SEL, is the process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. These are skills, which means that they are something that can be learned and something at which you can improve and get better. Many employers consider these among the soft skills, which are so important for job success. We know that these skills are those that help us to feel positive about ourselves, make good choices, move down the path towards healthy and productive life. You may have seen this graphic, which places social emotional learning in the center and labels the skills as 5 CASEL competencies. CASEL stands for Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. Today's session will focus on self-awareness and self-management. Before we go away from this graphic, however, think for a moment about how the other competencies are already embedded into our classes and ensembles. Just a few examples. Social awareness might be evidenced by respect for others. Relationship skills such as teamwork and community strengthen our ensembles. Responsible decision-making might look like evaluating and reflecting on lesson topics or class performances, identifying performance problems, and verbalizing those problems in a way that builds rather than tears down. You're probably thinking, wait a minute, I already work on these things. And yes, you are right. We music educators have been shouting about these benefits for years. Mindful breathing from a singer's perspective is the next step. Here you can see the basic steps for a mindful breathing exercise. Basically, sit in a comfortable way, close your eyes, and notice your breathing as you inhale and exhale normally. A link for this example will be provided in the session handout. Now, you can certainly lead your students in this exercise as it is, and it would be beneficial for becoming aware of what's going on in their bodies. By embedding SEL activities into our curriculum, we reap the benefits of both SEL and music. Breathing is so important to singers. Please respond to these prompts as if you were a student in my class. Sit with a tall spine, eyes closed. Press gently on your abdomen with both hands to find the bottom rib. Keep your fingers on your rib. Now slouch over with a curvy spine. Now straighten your spine. Sit as tall as you can. Curvy spine. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out slowly. Tall spine. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out slowly. What happened to your rib? Was it easier to breathe with a tall spine or a curvy spine? Take time to get a few student responses, which usually mention that their ribs disappear down in their belly, and that it was easier to breathe with a tall spine. Remind them that breathing is so important to singers. Place your hands on your belly as you breathe in and out. Can you feel your belly move? Place your hands on your shoulders as you breathe in and out. Your shoulders should not move. Place one hand on your chest and the other hand on your belly as you breathe in and out. Which hand is moving? I hope it's the hand on your belly. Once you get them to noticing how they feel in different positions, you begin to have some common vocabulary. Then add or change the movements for variety. Try stretching your hands up on the inhale and down to the floor on the exhale. This can be done from a seated or a standing position. These simple stretch movements can serve as a follow-up to the breathing exercises or as a brain break between class activities. Once again, the purpose of all these movements is to help students become aware of what is happening in their bodies and to develop the focus to maintain an activity even when there are other noises or distractions around them. Self-awareness followed by self-control. According to the Castle SEL competencies, self-management or self-control is the ability to successfully regulate one's emotions, thoughts, and behaviors in different situations, effectively managing stress, controlling impulses, and motivating oneself. The ability to set and work toward personal and academic goals is also a feature of self-management. Let's take a quick look at some of the movements that can help our students gain some self-control over their bodies and behaviors. While you are in that seated position, consider using a balance pose. Ask students to find a focus point to look at with their eyes. Then, lift feet and hands gently off the floor and balance with as little movement as possible. As balance improves, fully extend arms and legs, creating a triangle or boat shape. For standing balance development, try the tree pose. My students are great at creating drama, so they would be wobbling all over the place if I just put this image on the screen and let them go. Of course, the wobbling defeats the purpose of the balance pose like this one. At the beginning, I generally ask students to start with their toe on the ground and heel touching ankle, hands at sides. If they start to wobble, they should immediately put their foot down and get their balance. Then try again. We use our breathing as an indication for how much we are improving. Can you maintain this pose with no wobbles for 2 breaths? 3 breaths? Next, we raise arms to the front and finally up above the head, always pausing to breathe a few breaths with no wobbles. As our balance improves, then students can raise that one foot off the ground, eventually working it up to the knee as shown in the image. At each stage, be sure to try this using the opposite foot. Which one is easier? The triangle pose is another simple pose for improving self-control and balance. As students look up towards their raised hand, ask them to notice just how much that hand wobbles. How still can they hold that hand? Can they improve on the balance and holding the pose? Again, use breath as a measure for just how long the pose can be held. An intermediate step for this one might be reaching to your knee and hold, and then finally reaching down to your toes. Be sure to try this one on both sides as well. The entire goal here is for students to be mindful of what is happening in their own bodies and setting goals for improving those skills. When participating in continuous movement activities that emphasize the use of flow, weight, space, and time, students become adept at fluently measuring the space and time in and between the beats in the music that they are listening or performing. This enhances audiation and serves as a foundation for beat-keeping activities. How to get those concepts of flow, weight, space, and time across to our students? These fun animal poses show both the animal and the child, giving a starting point for the students. You can find these animal movement cards as well as the mindful movement cards in my Teachers Pay Teachers store, which is on sale for the entire conference period. Music Crew member stores on Teachers Pay Teachers have more great resources for movement. The Freeze Dance Bundle from Music Educator Resources includes both a rhythm freeze dance and a winter freeze dance. Wooden Figure Freeze Brain Break from Hustle House of Music has great poses represented by wooden artist figures and even includes 3 videos that may be used in a classroom setting. Glue Dancing from Noteworthy by Jen is a very fun concept. Students dance while gluing a specific body part to the floor. 18 cards will keep the fun going across many lessons. Yoga cards from Mrs. Stouffer's Music Room include 36 yoga poses with kid-friendly descriptions. Choose a few at a time to provide a great brain break or mindfulness lesson. You will find the links to these resources in my session handout. You can also find a whole room full of music movement resources in the Music Crew virtual exhibit hall. Please take time to check out the exhibits. So far, I have only spoke about focus, breathing, and movement. What about music in all of this? Of course, adding music would be a great option. You can use any calming music as background for the mindfulness breathing. In my experience, music didn't calm my students when I first introduced these activities, so we began in a quiet room. Adding the music came much later. However, movements that incorporate weight, flow, space, and time, such as the animal movements we just saw, are a great way to also discuss mood in music. Which movements would be most appropriate for this music? Help your students to build a vocabulary for emotions and also appropriate physical responses for those emotions. I began using these techniques as a way of dealing with extreme negative behaviors that were present in every class in my school. This particular year, 4 out of the 6 classes every day came to us straight from recess. The children were hyped up and often very angry with each other, and many times the classroom teachers would leave a noisy line outside my door and say, "Good luck." When administration asked Related Arts to try this mindfulness, my first thought was more of, "Are you kidding?" I was already losing 20 minutes just getting the children in the door, seated and calm enough to receive any kind of instructions. And now you want us to take 10 more minutes for mindfulness? But wait, what if I spent that 20 minutes doing mindfulness as it applies to music instead of just managing behaviors? It's not a magic wand that will fix everything right away. As a matter of fact, it took 3 months to really see any difference. But hey, there was a difference. There was a difference in the attitude they brought into the door, the cooperation levels, and the speed at which we could complete that transition and begin working on the main music lesson of the day. There was a difference in the types of responses that I got for my questions. More thoughtful, more respectful of others. Music for Creative Dance by Eric Chappell is an old favorite CD. The volume pictured is number 3 and includes music for continuous flowing movements and dance and freeze. My favorites are the songs that move between 2 contrasting sections, allowing us to change levels, pathways, weight, and speed, or flow as the music changes. Gradual Motion by Peter Jones has some great music useful for playing in the background during mindfulness activities as well as for movement. Also, check your textbook series for the lessons on beat, no beat, high and low, fast and slow. They usually have good example recordings or excerpts that can be great for music lessons. Today, we answered the questions, what is social emotional learning and what is mindfulness? And we learned some strategies for using mindful listening, mindful breathing, movement, mood, and emotion in music to enhance the social emotional skills of our students. Thank you so much for coming today. I would love for you to visit my GPT store and follow me on social media. The link for the session notes and the contact information will be found in the comments below. Please share your successes and challenges for using SEL strategies in your music room right here in the group for the benefit of the community. Thank you.